weigh in on all this. Congresswoman, thanks for coming back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I want to show you, the president was out there in Michigan. I want to show you a little reaction to what he had to say from what your constituents had to say.
Prices are going up.
Building up employment. I mean, there's people that can't find employees anymore.
I wish you'd just stay out of the state and leave us alone.
I mean, do you think that is an accurate representation of what the people of Michigan think?
I think it pretty much sums it up. Listen, when 54% of our GDP goes to pay for government, perhaps it's time that we have less government stay out of the way, and just put the power in the people's hands to do what they do best. We don't need big government.
I like the sound of that.
No.
Well, let me ask you about this, Congressman, because Biden keeps saying, and people on the left keep pushing the idea that this bill is going to cost $0. It's not going to raise taxes on the middle class. But everyone, essentially, that aside, is going to pay more because we're seeing inflation at some of its highest points. So how important is it to consider inflation and the impact that it will have on the American people right now in this spending spree?
We're already seeing inflation, and it's hitting us in the grocery store, at the gas pump, housing prices, you name it. So inflation is already here. And I think the other thing is, I don't really believe that the American people think $5.5 trillion is going to cost zero. I really don't believe that the American people think that at all. So they need to come up with another narrative. At the end of the day, the government has a spending problem. When you spend 126% more than what you produce, that's a spending problem. And God forbid, let's not give them a blank check and let them take the debt ceiling away till 2022. We need to start cutting spending until we can get our spending under control. This is out of hand.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. That seems to be lost in the discussion, and I'm glad you're bringing it back in, because I feel like it's become, I'm going to spend this much or just a little less, as opposed to, wait, we have a major spending problem. I do want to get to the debt ceiling in a minute because you brought that up, but I want to get back to the video that we played at the beginning. I get it. You guys are public servants. People have a right under our Constitution to protest, to make their voices heard, and it's good that they're engaging in democracy. That being said, I feel like the interesting thing about this is you heard the president say this is just part of the process, i.e. when Kirsten Sinema was followed into a bathroom, when they surrounded Joe Manchin's phone. You had Eric Holder, the former attorney general under Obama, saying when they go low, we hit them. You had Maxine Waters saying when you see a group of Trump supporters, we surround them. It sounds like the Democrats continue to do this whole thing. Chuck Schumer talking about, we're going to get you, Gorsuch. They are the ones who constantly seem to be pushing the envelope of inciting people to maybe cross a line.
And wasn't this the president that ran on unity and bringing Americans together? I mean, at the end of the day, didn't we learn a little bit of respect in kindergarten? This isn't part of the process. Attacking somebody in the bathroom, for goodness sake, is anything sacred? But here's what it tells you. They can't beat us on the issues. They cannot argue with us logically. So when you can't win a logical debate, you have to bully people. You have to threaten people. You have to use fear-mongering, because that's how you control people. It's sad, but unfortunately it's true.
Yeah. We do want to talk to you about raising the debt ceiling, because obviously this is a big hot topic button right now, and it's very important. President Biden blaming Republicans because if they don't get on board, this has to be done through reconciliation, and essentially saying that Republicans will be to blame at the end of the day. Democrats, they don't want to do this alone, as we have discussed on this show, but we know if Congress fails to do this, Congresswoman, it will suspend the debt limit. There will be massive consequences to our economy. So how long do you think the Democrats are willing to play politics on this specific issue?
I think they're willing to play politics for a long time. I really do. And to think that we should give government a blank check, that's ludicrous, right? Who would do that? give Congress a blank check, that absolutely doesn't make any sense when, again, we can't pay the bills that we have and we live outside our means as it is, so we're going to give them a blank check? That's ridiculous. That is not sound policy, period.
Well, speaking of ridiculous and a blank check, there's a report that caught our eye today from the Center for Immigration Studies. Check this out. I've seen a lot. This one really blew me away. It says that illegal immigrants will receive $8.2 billion annually, B with a billion, over $80 billion over 10 years in cash payments from the new child tax credit, which is part of this budget thing that they're doing. I mean, how is that not getting out there?
It takes people like you to talk about things like this because nobody is talking about it. And I want to go back to something that you said earlier. Let's not forget, the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the House. And they can't get anything passed, yet it's our fault. That's, to me, like the Lions coach saying, well, I know we lost, but it's not my fault. That quarterback is just horrible. Our offensive line is terrible. No, as a leader, you lead. And you come up with solutions. You don't, and one of the solutions to pay illegal immigrants. Come on, let's take care of Americans first.
I mean, it's literally like the batter blaming the catcher for not hitting the ball. It's like, wait a second, I'm not really in this equation, and you're blaming me. It's kind of fascinating.
And you wonder, the American people are waking up. Remember, this is the president that ran on bringing everyone together and working together. He doesn't work together with anyone, and that's why you're seeing the country in the state of affairs that it is. I mean, look at the situation at the crisis at the border, the economic crisis. Forget about we have 11 million jobs that we can't fill. We have a labor shortage. We have inflation. I mean, I can go on and on. The way to fix that, I can assure you, is not to spend more money. We have to begin to live within our means.
That's true. Congresswoman, I appreciate you sounding the alarm and everything you're doing to call attention to this. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thank you. And if you want more information, you can go to my newsletter at McClain.house.gov.
That's nice. All right. Even if you don't live in Michigan, you can stay up to date. There you go.
There you go.
All right. Coming up next, some former Trump White House staffers are doing a bit of